Absolutely. Prince Louis making his debut on the balcony. That's a very lovely sight. Duchess of Cambridge just holding him close, and very sweet little outfit, which looks very reminiscent.
It started with a silence people could not ignore. Prince Louis, once a constant presence, suddenly stopped appearing. Not long ago, he was front and center, smiling for cameras, waving from the balcony, drawing attention with his playful behavior. Then, without warning, he was no longer seen. No school moments, no public outings, no brief appearances to reassure anyone watching. Within days, the youngest figure in the monarchy was missing from view, and only later did the palace acknowledge it. Even then, the statement felt limited. Behind the careful wording, there appeared to be more unfolding, with quiet speculation, reported leaks, and one major decision shaping everything. Stay with us so you can follow how this develops. For weeks, those who closely follow royal activity kept talking. At first, it sounded routine, a short break, a minor illness, time away from attention. But as more events passed, the explanations no longer felt enough. One appearance after another went ahead without Louis, leaving a noticeable gap where his presence used to be. Questions quickly grew. Why would a young prince, widely recognized and followed, be kept away like this? The absence became even more clear during formal events, where every detail is planned and symbolic. Prince George stood beside his father, while Princess Charlotte maintained her composed and polished role. And still, the space where Louis used to stand felt strangely empty. No mention of him, no photos, not even a small gesture to explain where he was. The Wales family appeared as four at three major events, and that only made people more uneasy and confused. First came the Commonwealth Day service, then the changing of the guard, followed by the Remembrance Sunday ceremony. Each one passed without Louis, and the silence from the palace only made things louder in the public eye. People who follow royal patterns closely did tell something was not right. This was not a small absence. It stood out in a way that was hard to ignore. Questions started building. Was it a health issue, a private situation, or something more serious? With no clear answer, the silence began to feel less like protection and more like something being hidden. Then suddenly, everything shifted. The palace finally spoke, releasing a statement that felt careful and controlled. The message was tightly controlled, stating Prince Louis would be taking protected time away from public life, framed as being in his best interest. But people who understand how the royal system works know this kind of wording carries weight. It reads like a signal, not a full explanation. Something had shifted behind palace doors, and keeping him out of sight did not feel like a short break. It started to look long-term. History shows the palace does not stay silent without a reason. This is not the first time a young royal has stepped back from public view, and those situations are rarely simple. When someone fades from the spotlight like this, bringing them back into public life can be complicated. To really understand the concern around Louis, it helps to look back at earlier moments that did not seem unusual at first. On that well-known balcony appearance, his body language told a different story than the official image. Everything on the surface looked the same. The family waving, smiles in place, every move polished. But Louis did not match that rhythm. Usually full of energy and unpredictability, he seemed unusually still. Prince Louis stood stiff, hands tight, his expression hard to read. The playful side people recognized was not there in the same way. Looking back at the footage, what once seemed like simple shyness started to raise more serious questions. A child behavior analyst later reviewed the clips and shared observations that caught many off guard.
Louis's posture looked tense and controlled. His gaze kept shifting away, and his presence seemed to pull back from everything around him. He fidgeted, but not in a playful way, more like discomfort. His shoulders tightened with each cheer from the crowd, and he leaned slightly away instead of toward the moment. These did not look like the usual signs of an energetic child. They pointed to someone struggling quietly under pressure. Catherine's expression masked most of it for viewers watching from afar, but there was a brief moment that stood out. In that split second, her eyes did not reflect simple pride. They showed concern. It looked less like a relaxed public appearance and more like a parent staying alert, watching closely in case something might go wrong. Even Prince William appeared to react in a subtle way. He glanced toward a senior aide standing behind the family and gave a small nod. The aide stepped away without drawing attention, carrying out what seemed like a quiet instruction. At the time, very few people noticed, but looking back, it felt like part of a larger shift beginning. According to insiders, William is known for making firm decisions when it comes to protecting his children from intense public attention. Behind the scenes, photographers later shared that stricter guidance had been put in place around coverage. No solo shots, no close-ups, no cameras lingering on Louis. Just hours before the event, some photographers were quietly given limits to follow, something that felt unusual at the time, but now connects to a much bigger picture. This was not just routine protocol. It felt more deliberate, almost like a quiet step back being put into motion. His final balcony appearance seemed carefully managed, with every glance and movement fitting into a controlled flow. Even the crowd's applause felt short and measured, as if the moment itself was being kept contained. Looking back, it comes across less like a normal appearance and more like a turning point. Behind palace doors, the pressure was reportedly building. Catherine, long seen as calm and composed, was said to be firmly focused on protecting her son. Reports suggest she pushed back not only against media attention, but also against internal expectations within the royal system. Handwritten letters, described as deeply personal, were reportedly sent to King Charles and senior aides. In them, Catherine asked for time and understanding, calling for a pause that would give Louis space away from constant public demands. The request centered on easing that pressure, stepping away from a system known for expecting near-constant composure, even in private settings. A quiet battle was unfolding. Catherine's approach seemed calm on the surface, but carried urgency underneath. It reflected a parent trying to create space for her child in an environment built around constant public expectations. Each appearance added pressure, and the need to ease that weight appeared to grow stronger over time. Her response looked careful and deliberate, shaped by both instinct and responsibility. The situation carried more weight than most people realized, and her actions pointed to a clear priority: protecting her child from mounting strain. What was happening went beyond a simple absence from events. Louis being out of view became part of a much bigger picture. To the public, it looked like a disappearance, but to those familiar with royal patterns, it suggested a measured step back, a way to reduce exposure and manage attention in a system known for intense scrutiny. The shift could be seen across everything, from balcony appearances to formal ceremonies, down to private communications kept behind palace walls.
Taken together, these details form a picture of pressure, adjustment, and careful decision-making inside an institution that rarely changes course. Catherine's role in this stood out as focused and protective, carried out through small signals and quiet choices that spoke louder than any formal statement. Every controlled gesture seemed tied to a broader effort to protect him from a system that can quickly become overwhelming. Even the youngest members of the royal family face intense pressure. Louis's situation highlights that behind the tradition and ceremony, there were real children dealing with expectations far beyond the ordinary. His absence is not something minor. It points to a deeper reality about growing up under constant attention, where every appearance or absence is closely watched and interpreted. Each decision becomes part of a larger balance between royal duty and a child's well-being. For now, the youngest presence in the monarchy remains out of sight. Not without reason, but because something significant appears to have shaped that choice. Catherine's efforts continue quietly, expressed through actions, words, and private appeals that reflect a parent's focus on protecting a child within a system that rarely shifts easily. She asked for time, for understanding, and for a pause from the constant public exposure that seemed to be taking a toll on a child. Behind closed doors, her letters reportedly described details that cameras never showed. She wrote about changes in Louis's behavior, moments of unexpected tears, and times when he pulled away into himself. She noted how his once carefree laughter appeared to shift into something more uncertain, quieter reactions and hesitant questions. There were accounts of him avoiding interactions during visits from palace aides, reacting strongly to camera sounds and resisting structured guidance from tutors. These moments were described not as misbehavior, but as signs that something deeper needed attention. At the same time, Catherine was balancing two roles that did not easily align. She was a mother responding to a child, but also a future queen consort operating within a highly structured institution. Every decision carried wider meaning, shaped by expectations that extended far beyond family life. Her requests were reportedly reviewed closely, often met with concern about public reaction. Advisors warned that reducing appearances could lead to speculation and intense media focus. The guidance leaned toward maintaining stability and limiting visible change. But her actions suggested a stronger focus on a child's needs rather than preserving a public image. Her child's well-being became the clear priority. The pressure she faced behind the scenes continued to build, with each public appearance adding more strain as nothing seemed resolved. Reports suggested she began stepping back from certain evening engagements unless her child's situation was taken seriously. People around us started to notice a shift. Where she was once seen as composed and diplomatic, there were moments where she appeared more firm and less willing to compromise. One senior aide described a planning meeting where the topic of Louis came up and Catherine chose to leave abruptly, surprising those in the room. Soon after, her position appeared to harden. Another letter was reportedly sent, this time carrying more weight than a routine request. Around the same period, there were claims that Louis was expected at a ceremonial event with his siblings, but chose to remain in his room. Efforts to encourage him to attend did not succeed, and the situation seemed to reach a difficult point. Then, Catherine made a decision that stood out. She did not take part in a scheduled engagement, something seen as unusual given royal expectations. The move drew attention within palace circles, where tradition often emphasizes consistency and order. Even so, her public composure remained steady, despite reports of growing tension behind the scenes. Inside the palace, where image and control are carefully managed, her concerns were not gaining traction, but attention began to shift, and it came from someone much closer to the center of power. Prince William, usually measured and reserved, appeared to recognize that the situation was becoming serious.
He was no longer looking at tradition alone, but at the impact it was having on his own family. Reports suggest he saw firsthand the strain affecting his son behind closed doors. For someone raised within the system and prepared for the crown, this marked a significant turning point. Accounts from insiders describe a private meeting at Clarence's house that quickly grew tense. What began as a discussion reportedly turned into a heated exchange, described by some as one of the most serious family confrontations in recent years. Queen Camilla was present, alongside King Charles, who led the meeting. William arrived later than expected, described as quiet but focused, carrying a folder filled with documents. These reportedly included medical input, Catherine's letters, and internal notes he had previously avoided reviewing in full. As the conversation unfolded, he initially tried to remain calm, outlining concerns about his son's emotional state and questioning whether the palace's approach needed to change. But when Camilla, according to insider accounts, stepped in and suggested Louis was simply going through a phase, the tone of the room shifted. William reacted sharply, closing the folder in front of him and making his position clear. He rejected the idea that his son's situation could be brushed aside so easily. The room reportedly fell silent. King Charles attempted to ease the tension, maintaining that every decision had been made with Louis's best interests in mind, including the idea that public appearances could help stabilize perception. But William's response made it clear that he saw things very differently, and the exchange revealed just how strained the situation had become within the family. Now that the palace has addressed the situation publicly, the absence of Louis carries more weight than any official wording. What was presented as a period of privacy appears far more complex when viewed alongside these reports. It no longer feels like a routine step back. At its core, this reflects a deeper conflict between tradition and personal well-being, a child positioned within a centuries-old system, while his parents appear willing to challenge long-standing expectations to protect him. That tension signals something larger than a private family matter. If these accounts are accurate, the implications reach beyond one moment. A future king questioning established norms, and a future queen prioritizing her child over strict protocol, suggests a shift that could influence how the monarchy handles similar situations going forward. And now it is clear, the foundation of long-standing tradition is starting to shake. Prince Louis may be out of sight, but the impact of what unfolded behind palace walls is only just beginning to show. Every glance, every letter, every quiet act points to how far this family was willing to go to protect one of its youngest members. This moment in the royal story is far from finished. What remains is a visible gap where a child once stood, a silence that says more than any statement, and a situation that highlights the human side behind a highly controlled institution. What was decided in those private rooms could carry consequences far into the future, shaping how the monarchy responds to challenges like this. The direction taken now may influence everything that follows. Stay with us as this story continues to develop, with more details, tension, and decisions still to come. Like, share, and subscribe to Crownelle so you do not miss what happens next.